joint permanent commissions. And these joint permanent commissions are meant to hold discussions to review the challenges that come up from time to time and find ways of how best to resolve them.
And well, how best can we resolve many is what is on the hands or on the face of the Inana Light Movement Summit 2024. You know, at times when these summits do take place, the entire attention is always around the host nation. Why? Because everything that comes in from the declaration of that particular capital or where it is actually being hosted is going to drive us for the next 3 years. So us holding the chairmanship till the next host gives us that driving seat. International trade.
Yes.
Big point of discussion here.
Yes.
And one of the other barriers of international trade, you'd clearly look at the visa access and the like, and then also the security detail of some countries. As much as we have 120 member states, you'll get to realize not all these countries are trading within or amongst each other.
Yes.
If you're to look at some of the points you know, or the issues at hand, what are some of the barriers that were hinted on? But besides that, what is the way forward to boost international trade amongst the member states?
Joram, one of the key things that was discussed in the Economic and Social Affairs Committee is the need to reform the international financial systems so that it can provide affordable finances. Now, why do they call it affordable finances? You know, if you're looking at, take for instance, when you go to get a loan, you find the interest is say 30%. That's too high for a poor country. Even if you're an individual, it would be too high. So one of the things they're discussing is how can they get affordable financing? Do they have to belong to Exim banks as members? Do they have to create one? So those are ways of possibly mitigating that, but it's still under discussion, and we hope that the delegates will come up with a solution that member states will find very useful.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want us to go back to the point number one that you gave. The reason as why I've been getting my points from the last one is to give the viewers a clear understanding of every discussion that was put to bed.
Yes.
We get the very first point that you actually aired out this morning.
Yes.
The focus points, what were those? Because I think as a country we have a standing point as well. We as Uganda will definitely have a stand on what we want to put across, but also other member states still through the committees have their own stand.
Yes.
So if I would definitely look at it in this way, what were the major points of attention that many of the member states agreed upon?
Joram, like I told you, the discussions are still ongoing.
It's true.
But the focus on number one, as we mentioned, is that the delegates reviewed the implementation of Agenda 2030 for sustainable development and the SDGs.
Something the UN is also pushing
Yes,
for.
yes, especially the need to accelerate mobilization of financial resources. You know that the SDGs have about 17 points. And one of the key ones is mobilization of financial resources. Now, you find that while countries had agreed, they agree in principle that, look, we need to do this, we need to have sustainable development, we need to practice the kind of energy we use should not be affecting the environment. But there is a contradiction. States also need to develop, to industrialize, And the process of industrialization also comes up with its negative impacts. So the question is, what do we do? And that is what the delegates are scratching their heads, trying to find solutions over. It's a tough thing, but of course, key amongst that is if you have financing or if you have available financial resources which is at your disposal, usually researchers and all that comes with it can come up with solutions that is acceptable. Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And accepting a solution and sustainability is something that is being looked at for Agenda 2030. Sustainable solutions and also sustainable development goals. As much as the United Nations organizations also pushing for the same, that is also something we should know of. Doctor, on the sidelines of the NAM summit, yesterday was the conclusion of the East African Trade and Investment Forum, what you could call the East African Business Forum, that was happening at the Kampala Serena Hotel. I need to know a thing about the same. Was it in any way part of the discussions during this officials meeting?
Like we mentioned earlier, that is a side event.
Yes, it is.
And yes, delegates also participated. They came to see the issues that being discussed at the business forum, especially promoting greater market access for products and services. Now, if they are discussing promotion of greater access at the Economic and Social Affairs Committee, the discussions at the business forum definitely was kind of a backup to what was being discussed at the committee. One, it was a backup. Two, it also provided a forum for other member countries who did not know the kind of products that we produce, that we have. Take, for instance, delegates who are coming from, say, Venezuela or Grenada or the Bahamas. They wouldn't possibly, some of them don't know exactly what kind of products Uganda has. So it was an eye-opener for some of the delegates. So I think it was a very useful side event. Yes.
Well, many Ugandans have been having issues and concerns about us hosting the Non-Aligned Movement Summit, Doctor.
Yes.
This very week, we have the summit. Not only 1, 2, 3, many of those are coming in the country, happening. The other two are on the sidelines of the summit, of the main summit. Now we also have the G77 summit coming up. Let's look at the relevance of this to us.
Yes.
You did sit into the Economic and Social Affairs Committee. Now I want us to look at it from one, the economic part of it, where the economic benefits, then secondly, the social benefits that we are going to gain from this as the host nation moving forward.
Joram, one day I was telling someone that when you travel abroad, out of Uganda, whether to Kenya there, just in the neighborhood, they will not look at you. I come from Lira, for instance. They will not say Dr. Mara is from Lira. They will look at me as a Ugandan.
Exactly. It will be one single representation.
Exactly. They look at you as
they have nothing to do with your tribal differences.
It has nothing to do with whatever tribe you come from.
Indeed.
If you went to Germany, they will look at you as a Ugandan, not as a Munyoro or
a Mutoro
or whatever. Yes, they will look at you as a Ugandan. So this conference, first of all, has built social capital for Ugandans. 2, it is marketing the country, making the country popular. 3, it is a sign of confidence in Uganda by the international community. If they have confidence in you, then people will come to your place. 4, it is also a show of confidence in the leadership that Uganda has. You know, we might have our differences. Every house, let's look at the country as a family. In every family, there are always small disagreements or whatever, but that remains within the family. But to the visitors who are coming to visit you, that is a show of confidence that you have a good family, that your home is well organized, and that you as the head of the family, you're doing a good job running your family.
Yes.
So I think this is a very good thing. You can see we had the parliamentary conference, now we have the NAM conference, then we are going to have the G77 conference. We're also having a IGAD emergency meeting on the sidelines, including we've just had the business whatever. Now, in addition, I would like to mention that this is the first time ever in the history of the world that the Non-Aligned Movement Summit, as well as the G77 Summit, has been held by the same country concurrently. Now, that should be a show. If we are not happy for anything as Ugandans, that is something we should be happy about. We should be proud about our country. Yes.
Well, indeed, the show, or let's say the vote of confidence, is something that you can definitely look at. Just recently, before we even went into these particular summits, we had the 27th Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers, and also today we have the IGAD meeting. That is also on the sideline of the NAM Summit. So it's not part of the NAM Summit, but it's still being hosted in here. So it's a week, or it's a marathon of events. And that means your security has to be top-notch. The kind of service you're providing should as well be there. And it's giving lots of opportunities for anyone to tap into the same. Yes. And as we continue to give you the live broadcast of that, like I did mention, we have centers of attention. One, the Entebbe International Airport, where the arrivals are. Yesterday we received 3 heads of state in the country. A day earlier, we had actually received the Vice President. Now, when you look into the kind of situations that is happening within the country, that alone clearly shows you how ready we were to host these particular summits. Still telling you about the centers of attention. From Entebbe International Airport, where the arrivals of different heads of states, different heads of delegation are making their way into the country. We shall as well be giving you more of those particular daily updates. So just stick around to UBC and keep following on our socials, especially on the X app as well, and Facebook, and then to see how best we can actually push for this particular one. Then our other area of attention, the main focus point, that is the Speak Resort Munyonyo, and of course the Renzori Hall, where the major discussions are being undertaken. Today, the ministerial meetings continue, and of course they kicked off yesterday. But not only that, the other center of attention is the studio where we are. The conversations and the analysis is being gunned up from here, if you were to ask me, from the heart of Kampala at Nile Avenue, where all the other focus is. The Hotel African and other media outlets are there also centered to make sure that they give you and disperse of information as relevant as it gets. Our conversation today, I'm actually looking at this, the Economic and Social Affairs Committee, one of the 2 committees that were actually made or grouped out on day 1 of the Non-Aligned Movement Summit 2024. The theme, deepening cooperation for shared global affluence. And this theme attracts a lot of questions from everybody. As we are looking at deepening cooperation, what, according to you, Dr. Sam, should be the major focus of attention in regards to cooperation, if we are to cooperate so well? Because cooperation needs serious partnerships. You need to build great foundations that are going to stay for a longevity of years. Yes. and all that. But how can we deepen this cooperation amongst the member states that are taking part? Because we also have 10 organizations within the summit, rather within NAM, and then we also have 18 observer states within the non-aligned movement. So when you look at the entire picture, cooperation, how are we deepening cooperation? What methods can we employ? One as Uganda and then as the other member states.
Thank you, Joram. You see, the theme shows you that there is already cooperation. But how do we enhance that cooperation? You know, how do we enhance that cooperation? Now, Uganda, like our minister mentioned in his speech, and the president has always guided, is that Uganda is committed to multilateralism and bilateralism. Now, multilateralism means that you cooperate with many, you build allies. Bilateralism means that you should have friends that are close to you. You know, you can have allies, but then there are those friends who are actually very close to you as you know, as a state. Look at, for instance, our relations with Kenya. We are friends. We are brothers because we need each other, whether we like it or not. We need each other. The Kenyans need us. We also need them. That's where our products pass. Same thing with Tanzania. Those are the countries where, you know, you can't do without them. Geographically, we are permanently next to each other. So, I mean, our destinies are somehow tied. So, because of that belief and commitment to multilateralism and bilateralism, it drives us to always seek dialogue with a number of other countries. Now, our involvement with the non-aligned movement is actually a constitutional mandate. If you check Article 28(1)(c) of Uganda's constitution, it actually says that we should be non-aligned. So what we are doing is not only a constitutional mandate, but is also a belief and a commitment that we have. So I think we are on the right track, and we have visionary leadership which is guiding us on what to do.
Okay.
Yes.
And beside the leader, you know, the visionary leadership, Ugandans themselves now, this week many have benefited.
Yes.
Looking at those who are exhibiting their goods and products or services at the forum, the business forum at Serena Hotel in Kampala. Then there were also women in agribusiness in Chigo who are also, you know, displaying lots of things. Yesterday we had the NAM Culture Gala dinner that was also taking place in Chigo. We've seen people who have already tapped into the opportunities.
Yes.
Now to the layman Ugandan, how can they tap into the opportunities? These are discussions that were made or that were actually held closed doors. And at times we limit off, or there's always a limit to the people outside. The wananchi, umuntu wa wansi, is at times limited.
Yes.
They say your relative deep in Lira.
Yes.
At times they're limited to such information. How can they utilize this time? We have 3 years. The summit is coming to an end this weekend. Now we have 3 years to look at the implementation part of it.
Yes.
How do they tap into the benefits?
One, let me first mention that the East African Business and Business Forum that just concluded.
Okay.
Uganda's ambassador to Turkey came with a delegation of about 25 Turkish businesses. Now that was a record. The mission in India came with quite a number of businesses, I think about 18, plus several other missions. Now, all these business firms, they were networked. They had B2B meetings with Ugandan businesses, and I'm informed that over 20 business deals were signed between those companies and Ugandan companies. Now, that is a direct benefit of this, you know. What Ugandans need to do is follow up on some of those whatever.
Okay.
Yes, they need to follow up. We always tend to, when something passes, we forget about it. But we need serious follow-up on some of these businesses. And the sky is the limit. Yes.
And well, the sky is the limit, really. Following up means you have to keep up to speed with information, and the information that we're relaying for you here is also vital. How you can get into the situation. The Private Sector Foundation is actually pretty much the major point of attention when it comes to how the private sector can tap into these opportunities, especially from the business part of it. We are talking the Social and Economic Affairs Committee in our discussion this morning, following up to see what are some of those discussions that were made. Of course, like Dr. Sam has mentioned, the conversations and the discussions are still ongoing. Now from the officials level, they are now to the ministerial level, which means as far as we are concerned, by the time we shall come up with a final draft document for the Kampala Declaration, or what we will definitely declare from our Kampala sitting, this particular summit of the 19th of its nature, is when the conversations have been sealed, answers pursued, and of course coming up with one common cause and one common answer to attack any sort of trade differences, and also to put an end to the different incompetencies amongst the member states, which is also very important. Now, Doctor, you from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, yes. I think there is a lot that the ministry is willing to offer, yes, in form of support. Yes. And I would wish you to, to use this chance to clearly give some clarity to the viewers on how best, the Foreign Ministry is willing to help or to accommodate or to support businesses, especially those who want to expand beyond the borders.
Yes. Now, one of the key mandates of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is commercial and economic diplomacy.
Okay.
That means coordinating businesses from outside with our local businesses. And we have two departments within the ministry. And I must say, our PS is doing a wonderful job. Okay. PS Bagire is doing a wonderful job coordinating most of these activities. Now, there are departments that are tasked with following up on this. We have the Regional Economic Affairs Department, and we have the International Economic Affairs Department. Now, if you wish to deal with, for instance, businesses that are outside Africa, you go to the International Economic Affairs Department. Say, for instance, those businesses that sign deals with businesses from Turkey, from India, from European countries, from Asian countries, that one falls under International Economic Cooperation Department. It's called IEC. If you sign businesses with businesses from Kenya, Tanzania, or African countries, you go to the Regional Economic Affairs Department, and they will be able to assist you. We also have the Diaspora Department that helps Ugandans who are already in the diaspora, and tries as best as possible to link them up with our missions abroad. And then, of course, we have the Consular Department that handles individuals that might wish to go out and follow up on their business deals and whatever. So those departments do exist within the ministry, and I would encourage the public to utilize them.
Okay.
Yes.
And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, like you mentioned, is there to make sure that you utilize the departments. I love the fact that he has put up there in regards to the department. Now, majorly from your department, where you come from, Doctor, Head of Public Diplomacy.
Yes.
What really happens in there? If you're to just break down for us, we need to know what really happens within. Is it all matters public, or there are some limitations?
Public diplomacy, actually, our job one, this is one of our jobs.
What you're doing today?
To disseminate information to the public. Timely and accurate information to the public regarding the activities of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Okay.
Now, most people think that Ministry of Foreign Affairs is basically about protocol. No, it's not. It's just one of the activities that the ministry does. There are lots of other activities that the ministry is engaged in, especially its role of coordination of MDAs with external entities. We in public diplomacy actually sit on the sports committee, the National Sports Council. We also sit on the scholarship committee, because those are issues that concerns the public. We do branding for the ministry. We do coverage of the activities of the ministry, and but most of all is to disseminate information, like I mentioned earlier, on what other departments of the ministry is undertaking, as well as what our missions are doing. We are also in charge of handling content issues, handling the websites and all that. So, yes.
3 years of our chairmanship, as we're summing up with our conversation, Dr. Sam, I want us to look at the way forward. What is our long-term, part of it? What are our long-term takeaway points from the entire summits that we've hosted? Speaking of the entire summit, the main summit may be the NAM summit and the G77 plus China summit, but then we've also had other summits on the sidelines. What can be our takeaway points for the long term?
Now, when the summit ends, after we have assumed the chairmanship, that is actually when the challenges begin. Because at the end of the summit, there's going to be an outcome document. This outcome document will spell out policies, presidential directives, mandates, which are supposed to be implemented by member countries over the 3 years. Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the key government department that is mandated to follow up on those directives, those policies, those mandates that we are supposed to implement over 3 years. Now, those directives are meant for all member states to to implement. Now, usually the chair country will have to organize meetings, conferences. Those meetings are to get reports and reviews from member states, how far they have gone on the implementation on what was agreed in the outcome documents. It's also the role of the ministry to travel to some of the member countries to actually see that these policies or directives have actually been implemented as reported. The ministry will also have to organize delegations to travel to like UN meetings to follow up on some of the issues that are supposed to be presented, not only at the UN, but even other international fora, like the World Trade Organization, like UNCTAD, and all that. So it's the role and the work of the ministry. And the member states will not listen if you say tomorrow that you have no money to travel there. No.
Okay.
They will not listen to that.
All right.
Yes.
And of course, I've been having Dr. Sam Omar. Dr. Sam Omar, what would be your last shots as we're winding up now? What would be your last message to the viewers today?
This is not like a message.
Okay.
But I would only encourage Ugandans that while the benefits might not seem direct, that you are not going to get cash in your pocket immediately, the benefits are actually indirect, and you might get it and you don't know that you have actually received it. But we as Ugandan, let us maintain our renowned world record that we are the most hospitable people on earth. So I encourage us to be as hospitable as possible, and to see that we pull off these two events successfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time, Doctor.
Thank you.
And of course, I've been having Dr. Sam Omar, who is the head of public diplomacy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Our conversations were looking into what was discussed by the Committee of Economic and Social Affairs, or the Economic and Social Affairs Committee. Remember, there were two committees that were made on day one: the Political Committee on its own, and the Social and Economic Affairs Committee that was also bed in there. And if I'm to take you through what is likely to be coming your way today, in today's broadcast, we do expect delegates making their way into the Renzori Hall for the plenary sessions, or what we could call the ministerial plenary sessions that will be going on or taking place. But this will all be closed door meetings, so obviously you will only be expecting more of that from the final declaration that will be made at the end of the summit on the 20th. And then also we shall be having details in regards to the IGAD meeting, and of course we shall be able to let you know when it is kicking off and how best you can get to know the information about it. And then we expect further arrivals from the time of 9:30 a.m. in the morning throughout the entire day, arrivals of various delegates and heads of state. But then also, we shall also be expecting press briefing of the IGAD meeting. That and more is and will be live on your national broadcaster, UBC. So that is something that you can keep up to speed with us as we continue to update you and drive you into the direction of the Non-Aligned Movement 2024. The hashtag is NAM 2020, NAM Summit UGI 2024. That is if at all you want to join the conversations and the discussions on the X app. This is the 19th summit of this nature, and it is hosted in Kampala by Uganda, which is holding the chairmanship for the next 3 years from 2024 to 2027. Stick around to Good Morning Uganda. More conversations and discussions rotating around the same matter of NAM continue here.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome everyone to the biggest game on the continent.
And you have to, you've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
Juko.
Yo.
What you check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Have you packed more with Harbour jelly and Harbour foam? Yes, we packed. It will protect your skin from skin rashes. Movit pack. It is a new improved Movit Harbour jelly. So soft and smooth. It is a Movit Harbour jelly.
Tell me, kids, the scent. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Movit Harbour Jelly and Harbour Soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Movit all day confidence.
The energy of this land was born in the hearts of these men, of these women. It comes to life in the power of these colors and the memory of these scents. The energy of this land comes from here. It comes from Africa, and it vibrates in each of us.
And powered by Africa.
Oryx Gas, powered by Africa.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Get value for your money by choosing the right paint. With Global Paints, you don't just paint, but paint for generations to come. Make Global Paints a paint of choice and make your building a paradise. We have weather coat emulsion, undercoat emulsion, silk vinyl emulsion, flat emulsion, super gloss and high gloss. Global Paint, a reliable product.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
The energy of this land was born in the hearts of these men, of these women. It comes to life in the power of these colors and the memory of these scents. The energy of this land comes from here. It comes from Africa, and it vibrates in each of us.
And powered by Africa.
Oryx Gas, powered by Africa.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Uganda. And we are still going on with the official business with the Non-Aligned Movement Summit that is taking place right now in Munyonyo. We have many heads of state that have come through the country starting yesterday, and many more will be arriving as of today. So thank you so much for being with us. We will still be bringing you live updates from the summit. Any new updates, we will be sharing them here on UBC, the national broadcaster, and we are also the official broadcaster for anything and everything that is coming through from the summit. Well, we have some breaking news coming through. Former Member of Parliament and also politician Cecilia Ogwal has died. Yes, Cecilia Ogwal has passed on. We are yet to establish the cause of death, but news coming through says that she has passed on. And we send our condolences to family and friends here from Good Morning Uganda. Now about Cecilia Ogwal, she was a Ugandan politician, a businesswoman, and a management consultant. She was a member of parliament for Dokolo district. She was a woman member of parliament for Dokolo constituency. We send our condolences to friends and family, and we will be bringing you more details about the fallen soldier for Uganda. May her soul rest in peace. And as we move on, we will be looking at how the traffic situation is as of this minute from the areas of Gaba Road. We would like to see how people from that side of town are in position to move, because we know that being the route where most of the delegates are coming from, it may not be easy to access the city center, because as motorcades move through, some people may be inconvenienced for a bit of time before they can be able to move on with their business. Now, picking it up from Gaba Road, we continue to see how you can move as of this minute, and as the weather is also changing, which may also spell that rains usually spell traffic jam on the roads, especially in the morning and in the evening. So I'd like to look at this route and see if you will be in position to move in record time to your place of business. Now, going along Gaba Road, at least for this minute, we see that there is a smooth flow of traffic so far as you move from your place of abode and reaching the areas of Buziga. I see that there is a smooth flow of traffic coming in from Buziga Road, joining the main Gaba Road. So if that's where you're coming from, you're still in luck. There is smooth flow of traffic on the road, and still continuing ahead on this very road, coming in through from Chibale Road, joining the main Gaba Road. We see a bit of traffic jam that is coming through from Chibale Road, joining Gaba Road, and continuing ahead, there is smooth flow of traffic. Now, for those coming through from the areas that have Abuja pub around that area, you're going to experience some bit of traffic jam joining the main Gaba Road. Continuing ahead, there is still smooth flow of traffic. You should be able to move smoothly. The inconveniences that many people worried about as regards the NAM summit have not really been experienced. We've had traffic diversions on different roads, but overall, after motorcades have passed through, many people have been able to move to different places without the traffic jam that we were worried about. And as we look at Gaba Road this morning, which is the route that takes you to Speak Resort Munyonyo, we see that there is smooth flow of traffic in this area. Most of the feeder roads like Mitala Road, Kakoza Road are bringing in not so much traffic as of this morning. And continuing ahead still, we see that in some areas now you're going to encounter a bit of a hold-up, but not so intense that you should lose a lot of time on the road. And continuing still ahead, we are still on Gaba Road. We still see green zones for the most part. Now, for the people that are coming in from Diplomatic Road, that's where you're going to encounter traffic jam. Many people that are coming through from Kansanga or going to Kansanga usually use this road as a diversion route. And when you look at it, for the most part of it, the entire stretch has a traffic jam that is coming through and feeding into the main Gaba Road in Kansanga. But continuing ahead, there is still smooth flow of traffic on the main road. So normally when you're afraid about traffic jam, you're better off using the main road, because many people use the diversion routes thinking that that's where it is going to be okay, and that's where they may not lose time, but in most cases this is not the case. So you're safer, this is a travel tip, to remain on the main road when you're traveling, especially in the hours when you suspect that there may be traffic jam. Now looking at Senyonga Road as it joins Gaba Road, it is bringing in traffic jam for a big stretch joining this area in Kabalagala. Now, as Muyenga Road also joins Gaba Road, there is not much traffic coming through. So for people moving to Muyenga or coming from Muyenga to join Kabalagala to go to areas of Kansanga, you will not be encumbered in any way. But for the people coming in from Zambia Estate Road, before you reach the main Gaba Road, you will encounter a hold-up because I see an orange zone coming through. Continuing still along Gaba Road, for the most part on the main road, the traffic situation is smooth. You should be able to move. And of course, as I look around, other feeder roads in the area are also looking good as of this minute. Now, I would like for us to fast forward and see where Gaba Road, or what you now would call Nsambya Road, joins Mukwano Road, to see how the traffic situation is looking like in this area. Now, at the intersection that has Arena Mall, as you come to Nsambya Road and then join Mukwano Road, we see that even in this area there is still smooth flow of traffic. And continuing ahead with the Mukwano Road, I'm starting to see the red zones coming through as Mukwano Road now joins 8th Street. And if you look at your screen, you will see that there is traffic jam that is coming through from Mukwano Road, and of course going to 8th Street side, or for those that are coming through from 8th Street. And this roundabout here joins different roads like Access Road, 8th Street, 7th Street, and even 6th Street. The good news is that there is no traffic jam coming through from 6th Street and 7th Street. The only traffic jam I see as of this minute is coming through from 8th Street as it joins Mukwano Road. And continuing ahead, looking at 6th Street, even from where it starts, I see that it is still smooth. And following Access Road now from this roundabout, we see that there is a bit of traffic jam here and a bit of a hold up as 8th Street now joins this intersection that has Ginger Road and Yusufule Road. And if we are to continue with Yusufule Road, where it joins that roundabout that is just before Kingdom Kampala, as you come up to Nile Avenue where UBC is, you will find that there is a bit of traffic jam that is going the side of Yusufule Road, but also a bit of traffic jam that is coming up on Nile Avenue. But Clement Hill, which is a feeder road, is looking pretty good as of this morning. And of course, when we continue ahead with Yusufule Road after the roundabout, that is where the traffic jam in this area, at least for the minute, is ending at the roundabout. So when you continue ahead, you should be able to move without any encumbrances whatsoever. And the next place you're going to encounter traffic jam is at the traffic lights that take you to John Babiha access at Acacia Avenue. And of course, if you're going to the side of Kafu Road, you may encounter a little bit of traffic jam. But for those going to Kafu Road, actually, you will find that in this area there is traffic jam. And of course, Macnon Road also has a bit of traffic that is coming through. And where Kafu Road joins Tadondo Road, you will also encounter a bit of a slowdown. And for those going still ahead to meet Muafu Road, you will encounter some bit of a hold up in this area. Well, that is the traffic update. up ahead from the areas of Gaba Road until Mukwano Road, and of course going through Nile Avenue, Yusufule Road, continuing to other areas of the city. The good news is that at least as of this morning, there is no traffic jam in many areas, but it is threatening to rain. That may change the situation. So if you're still home, don't lose time. You should be hitting the road as of this minute. And like I earlier said, have you checked your brakes? And have you ensured to see that your car is serviced? When is the last time you changed your engine oil? You should look into that so that you avoid eventualities on the road. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. We are still broadcasting live from Nile Avenue, and we'll be bringing you more details from the Non-Aligned Movement Summit in Munyonyo.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Have you packed more with Harbour Jelly and Harbour Foam? Yes, we packed. It will protect your skin from skin rashes. More with pack. It is a new improved more with Harbour Jelly. So soft and smooth. It is a more with Harbour Jelly.
Tell me, kids, the sense. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Movit Herbal Jelly and Herbal Soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Movit All Day Confidence.
The energy of this land was born in the hearts of these men, of these women. It comes to life in the power of these colors and the memory of these scents. The energy of this land comes from here. It comes from Africa, and it vibrates in each of us.
Powered by Africa.
Oryx Gas, powered by Africa.
Get value for your money by choosing the right paint. With Global Paints, you don't just paint, but paint for generations to come. Make Global Paints a paint of choice and make your building a paradise. We have weather coat emulsion, undercoat emulsion, silk vinyl emulsion, flat emulsion, super gloss, and high gloss. Global Paint, a reliable product.
Well, welcome everyone to the biggest game on the continent.
And you have to. You've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Very good morning to you once again. Thank you for watching UBC Television. Just to remind you, we are still broadcasting the NAM Summit. However, we do have some bad news, as earlier on mentioned by Olive Monica Najuma. We have lost a member of parliament, and that is now the late Cecilia Ogwal. And of course, that is bad news at such a time when the country is holding a very, very big event. But we can't forget to talk about her, and of course with me on set is Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, someone who has interfaced with her, and someone who could have so much to say. But please do note that she was born in the month of June on the 12th in 1946 and now died at 77 years. And well, some would say 77 years would be fair enough, but we believe that those who have lived longer could had so much to offer. And well, let's hear from Robert and see what he has to say about the late, having been someone that interfaced with her personally. Yes, Robert.
Well, it is really very, very sad because Uganda has lost a great leader. Right. Cecilia Ogwal entered active politics from the 1970s.
Yes.
She has been in active politics. Now, remember, she's a lady. And of course, there has been so much effort to raise women in positions of leadership. Very vocal as a UPC by then. She has been one of the longest serving members of parliament that Uganda has ever had.
Right.
But also, she has been very objective. I've hosted the late about 2 times. One, I interacted with her at parliament while they were celebrating 100 years, looking at the position of leader for opposition, how parliament has transformed. And much as she was in the opposition, Cecilia Ogwal was very objective. Recently, I hosted her when we had this opposition bickering, FDC, splitting, you know, the factions. And she was always very positive. And I think most of the time, recent times she was training on social media when she was at a United Nations forum and talking about Uganda having passed the anti-homosexuality bill. And she was very clear, very saying, we are Africans, we are Ugandans, we shall not. So Cecilia Ogwal was a very objective politician, that is what I can say, and very experienced, that when she would stand on the floor of parliament to speak, you know that house has a number of members of parliament.
Right.
But there are those that command respect, even amongst them. Because of her experience, her leadership skills, she was a mother to many female members of parliament and a mentor. But also, one of the things I enjoyed while talking to her, to the late now, was asking her how she won the Miss Uganda beauty pageant in 1969 when she was only 23.
23 years, yes.
And she said, well, actually, it was something very interesting, but I think it's also misrepresented. I personally wasn't, but maybe someone didn't. So, and she was very full of humor and life. So we pray for the family. We pray for the members of parliament and the opposition losing such a very important figure at such a time.
Right. Well, to the family of now the late, we send you our condolences, and well, we pray that the Lord keeps you strong, because at the end of the day, it's God that gives and it's God that takes, and may her soul continue to rest in eternal peace. From the 1970s, years active until 2024, and Cecilia Ogwal, you know, worked at the Uganda embassy in Kenya. You know, some of the things she did, and she also held a she went to I think she had a certificate in human resource management, and she was also passionate about religion and Christianity. And I'm pointing this out because people lack this, especially in politics. And someone also deciding to stick to, say, opposition, for example, until, you know, they take their last breath is something that is not to be taken for granted. I believe she has done her best to live her best and set a good example, one to the members of parliament, but also to those that were looking up to her. And well, it's time for her to rest, and well, she has actually gone to rest, if I may put it like that. Yeah, so that is the bad news that we have this morning, but like we said, we have to keep strong and pray for the led to rest in peace. At this moment, please do note, as a reminder, we are still here discussing the non-aligned movement. I would say Uganda is privileged to host this event, but also to host the G77 China Summit. And well, with the other events in the sideline that are happening, I would say Uganda is really privileged, and this is going to be it's going to bring outcomes that are very wonderful for our country. And as you can see, we are already in Munyonyo. Our team is in Munyonyo, and we are looking forward to giving you live updates on what is taking place at Munyonyo. We expect more delegates to be arriving today, and among the delegates, maybe not today, I cannot be sure, Robert, because there's information that has been withheld of when some of the heads of states are arriving, and but I would say that on the program we are expecting the president of Azerbaijan to be here, because he will be handing over chairmanship to the president of Uganda, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and we are looking forward, of course, to that. And that means the chair of NAM is going to be in Uganda after that for the next 3 years until we go into the transfer again. So Uganda is very privileged, especially not just because NAM NAM houses majorly say what some choose to call them poor countries, but we are developing countries.
We are no longer
I see
poor
someone
countries.
writing poor countries, but we are developing countries, and so it's a privilege that a developing country gets to host this event, and so far so good. I don't know what your take is on that.
Well, I must say, so far so good, because we've seen first, we've not had any security issues. That is to say, because for such conferences, the most important thing is peace.
Right.
You must secure the guests that have come to
peace
visit
and
you.
security,
You don't
yes.
know what it means if a president of another country, something happens to them on your land. So these delegates that are coming in, ministers of foreign affairs from 120 countries,
Right.
being in your country, first thing is peace to protect these guests. And we want to thank our security agencies and God above all for day 4 now, and we've not had any encumbrances. Now, issues of transportation, bureaucracy of these guests, all are moving on smoothly.
Right.
We see them arrive at the Speak Resort Munyonyo. We see them commence the discussions.
Right.
We had a successful day 1 where we saw senior officials. They had all that they were supposed to do. We saw Ambassador Adonia Ayebale being elected, non-opposed, as chairman of the senior officials meeting, and he did a good job. We saw the political, we saw the social and economic committees, and believe you me, they adopted whatever they did. They had their discussions. These were closed, so we may not have details into exactly, but at least we have a glimpse of what was being discussed.
Right.
That they fronted the issue of Israel and Palestine. The debt issue also is one of the issues we believe was discussed. Peace in the region is also another issue that was discussed. And remember, the non-aligned movement works, one meeting feeds into the other. So day 1, day 2, what they had agreed upon, we saw still Ambassador Ayebale as the chair of this meeting of senior officials.
Right.
At the opening of the Ministers' Council, he came and gave a brief of the report and
Presented the
said,
draft.
whatever we are presenting to you was agreed depending on the principles of NAM. Consensus, they all have equal veto in terms of voting, and where there were disagreements on certain issues, that still we use the principle of NAM on how to dissolve these and see how best. Now remember, that report is what was given to the meeting of ministers to scrutinize.
Right.
Now we saw the ministers arriving, take the group photo, then adopting the agenda. Then after adopting the agenda, they went into this plenary, of course, electing
the plenary session,
electing their chairman also, where General J.J. Odong took up that also unopposed, as nominated by government of Uganda. So they have also had a successful, we must say, that. Now
I've seen something that seems to be probably something that is done. The same person when it comes to Azerbaijan, the foreign minister is the one that was holding the chairmanship as of yesterday. And now we are seeing J.J. Odong, who also is the foreign minister for Uganda, taking chairmanship. I don't know if that is something that is deliberate or it is agreed upon under the NAM, but it seems to be a pattern, or seems to be a considerable decision that is made to make these, whoever holds that office, to actually chair these meetings.
Well, basically because it's on rotational basis. Now, when it is your turn, remember NAM doesn't have, say, a secretariat that will do this work and all that. So when it's the turn for that country, you find that the president takes over because these are issues of relations. Ministries of Foreign Affairs, the ministers take over. So, therefore, the proceedings of the discussions of day 3 are now what is going to continue into day 4 of the 19th summit of the non-allied movement in Uganda. So we expect that what will come out of day 4 today, if the ministers scrutinize this, analyze, they also come up with their draft properly, and this will be given to the heads of state. Then from the heads of state, looking at still this document, like I said, one feeds into the other. They'll come up with the final Kampala declaration.
Outcome document, yes.
The outcome document, which will now, we'll say it's been a success because these heads have also agreed on these issues. Remember, as political heads, yes, the technical could have done that, the ministers could have done that, but the heads of state maybe would feel this, no, we may not go into it. This, we may not go into it. So, so far, I must say it's been a success.
Right, and after the declaration that we are going to be seeing, or call it the final Kampala outcome document, we are also going to see the declaration on Palestine. And that is much anticipated because at the end of the day, we will need to know what does NAM have to say about the issue with Palestine. And then after that, we'll be seeing the closing statement from His Excellency General J.J. Odong, the Minister for Foreign Affairs in the Republic of Uganda and chair of the NAM ministerial meeting. And so after that, that's when, of course, we'll be seeing the lunch break that will be happening for the delegates and for the ministers. So pretty much that is how the program is looking like for today. And my question to you would be, what are some of the things that you think might be in this Kampala outcome document? Because, first of all, the first issue we thought would be there has been put as among those that are to be discussed today, and that is the declaration on Palestine. Do we hope that it's also in the Kampala declaration, or it's actually now we have to think of other things that could be in the Kampala declaration?
Well, that is something we can't avoid, to be honest, because even from the senior officials, this was an issue that was raised by majority, most of those that are coming from Arab states. Yesterday, we saw the representative from South Africa, in fact, urging the world to join South Africa's decision of taking Israel to court against military operations in Palestine. She was pushing for this and saying, look, we've lost about 23,000 people in Gaza. Yes, we lost about 1,300 on the 7th of October when a mass hit. But we cannot allow this to continue this way. Calling for drums, let's join in solidarity to see this end. So that is one issue that is a must. And even initially, because when you look at NAM happening, there are processes that happened before. There are meetings that happen before to discuss actually what is going to be discussed.
Right.
So you find that still this issue had been captured in around July, but there were some other technicalities that have developed along the line. So that is one issue that I'm very optimistic. Then there was also a meeting, though the media didn't give it that pronounced magnitude. It was a hybrid meeting where we saw United Nations women, UN Women,
Yes.
UNSAID, and the government of Uganda, civil society, and women in this particular area were calling for more involvement of women under NAM. Actually, they called for, like you see other areas have a side event for women.
Yes. We did have an event, though it was
it wasn't like official.
Yeah, it was the women in agribusiness
Okay, yes, that was women, but these ones are calling for better voices.
for women.
Like you have women under UN. If they are having these summits, it will be the CHOGAM.
Right.
There would be a special session that is women in NAM. So these ones are saying that NAM member states, it is now time that they also find a platform for women in NAM. And no matter, this doesn't leave me wondering, when the speaker from South Africa, the representative from South Africa, she thanked the chairman of the Ministers' Council for having chosen two speakers, the first two speakers,
To be ladies.
to be ladies. She said this doesn't usually happen in such platforms. So they are saying, no, prioritize us more. Give us something that is ours. And now being in Uganda, many were saying, as President Museveni is going to be the chair for the next 3 years, this is something that very optimistic that will happen. So matters of women may find themselves somewhere in this.
Well, we also do remember that when President Museveni was re-elected recently, he made sure that there was a bit of balance when it comes to the ladies holding ministerial positions, and that's when we saw a number of women. We also saw a prime minister who is female after a long time. So in this case, you would say if that should be put into consideration. Also, I was looking just like a summary of the 18th NAM summit, and trying to get a bit of a snippet into what was declared or what was in the declaration in 2019, to be able to give us a picture of what to expect this year, because we also have Somalia that is coming out. Somalia has its concerns between there is a rift right now between Somalia and Somaliland. I just saw a headline that was saying Somalia, sent back Ethiopian Airlines, told them you can't. Yet the Ethiopian Airlines was going to land in Somaliland, and Somalia was like, no, you can't go through us. So there is that as well that is to be discussed. But when I look at the 18th, the final document that was issued in conclusion of the Non-Aligned Movement Leaders Summit, at some point it said the heads of government reiterated their support for the establishment of the Middle East, this is WMD free zone, and called on all states to take urgent and practical steps in support of the zone. The document outlined recent developments related to the zone at various international fora. So by the look of things, it seems as if they pick on one or two issues and declare that this should be given support and should be maybe given priority, considering the rest. And maybe we are now to start assessing and see what issue do we think is going to be given priority.
Well, also another very interesting is admission of South Sudan to become the 121 country.
Right.
If this is taken up by the member states, the 120 so far, because it really applied to be part of this. So I'm also eager, waiting for that, if at the end of the day South Sudan will be admitted.
Yes, we already have the president of South Sudan
who is already in the country.
Yes,
because remember, usually geopolitical issues are addressed by NAM, because when its foundation, of course times have changed, but NAM was basically formed due to political issues.
Right.
to solve the political challenges at that time.
Yes, the likes of neo-colonialism, the likes of aggression, the likes of even Cold War, the likes of apartheid, the likes of genocide. So yes.
And in its initial stages, with the 5 mighty founders,
Right.
why I call them so, because when you look at world history, when you look at Africa, a man like Kwame Nkrumah dominates history almost.
Right.
When you look at the history of India, Nehru, you'll find that these were very powerful people. All come to Egypt.
Yes.
You know?
Abdel Nasser.
Yes, very powerful people. So they had a vision of ensuring that there is peace. The uniqueness was that resolving conflicts through peaceful resolutions.
Yes, democracy.
Democracy, talks, sometimes maybe sanctions, looking for peaceful ways. Because during this Cold War, arms had been put aside after the Second World War.
Yes.
Now there was this confusion. You either align with us or you don't align
That's
with
when
us.
actually politics
There's
got
capitalism, there's socialism, USSR, then you have USA for capitalism. And these countries say, no, we aren't going to go to any of the
We don't belong
sides.
to any of the blocks, yes.
Because you have our challenges. We've just gotten independence. We have our colleagues who have not yet gotten independence. So we must, so you see that it was politics. It is now that so much they begin to look at the other side, that we are also poor countries. We are also developing countries. So much as we have the political committee to put emphasis on political issues, we must have the social and economic committee as well to look at issues like the public debt.
Right.
What do we do? If we are all having these debts, we are almost stuck. What do we do? If you all have huge youthful population, we have quantity, not quality. How do we make this population a quality population? You know, if the world is now going into ICT and modern technology, how do we also get there? You have a country like India.
As developing countries.
How do we, amongst ourselves, and these are key issues that NAM must address, amongst ourselves, not looking at those that are better than us to help us, but amongst ourselves. What cooperative advantage does Chantal have over Chirabo? How do we bring together efforts to ensure that we better ourselves? So these are the challenges that we, and that's why when you look at our vice president, when she was opening the ministerial meetings, she pointed these issues. She was showing you how Uganda has moved, the potentials we have. J.J. Odong, Honorable General J.J. Odong, while also at the opening, you know, of the senior officials, you would see her, you would see him also trying to emphasize that in solidarity, in unity, there is what we can achieve in this grouping of ours. So it is more that now the NAM countries are waking up to say, we fought colonialism, but we have neo-colonialism.
How do we fight this?
How do we fight? By empowering ourselves. Because if you don't have economic strength, much as you have numbers, yes, numbers may matter to push for regional, for these blocks, but if you don't have that, then that remains a very big problem.
In comparison with the African Union, that is also it's among the organizations that are observers when it comes to the non-aligned movement. Shouldn't some of the things that are being done by the non-aligned movement be things that are done or were done by the African Union, in your own opinion?
Well, if NAM is to make reforms, in my opinion, the first would be to have a secretariat,
which African Union has and NAM does not have.
Then also is to develop a financial muscle. Because you see, much as after 3 years, this is rotational. Because there is no secretariat, the following up of these various declarations becomes a problem.
Yes.
You have President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for the next 3 years. Now, the president, much as is very passionate about these groups of these blocks, he's a Pan-Africanist.
Of course he is, yes.
You know? He's a Pan-Africanist. If you see the strength he's pushing for East African community and all these other globes, you see he's a man who has that vision.
Right.
But he also has so much state work to do. So without a secretariat that is going to follow up, it becomes a challenge. But also funds. You're talking of some other blocks where people subscribe. There is money that is being given to run affairs. You're talking of NAM, where the chair at that time is the secretariat, and all these operations have to come from that very country.
Right.
The hosting of these guests, you know, so like
actually, sorry to cut you short, someone asked me, because I told them UBC was the official broadcaster, and someone asked me, is NAM being catered for by Uganda as a country? And I told them I was going to first do some research about it. I didn't want to give them wrong information, but from the research I made, we are actually housing all the costs that have to do with the non-aligned movement. And I believe now that you say that, you are very right, we need to have a secretariat and the means. I mean, we are developing countries, so definitely there has to be means put in place to facilitate. It may not entirely do the facilitation, but I think we can do half-half. But for Ugandans, I believe there's been more to gain from the preparations, especially, if you agree with me.
Because now, when you look at some issues, if you don't have financial strength, for example, some of the delegates, I think it was during the ministerial meeting, talked about Africa, Asia, getting a seat on the UN Security Council. This has been a talk for Africa. They have craved for this.
For a really long time.
And actually, the late Cecily Ogwal, the image on your screen, now former Dokoro member of parliament, at one international forum, became very furious over this. And said no. But you see, all these you push for them. Money in terms of power has a connection with financial ability.
Right.
Because Africa is rich. These countries are rich. Let me tell you, their minerals have built the great countries we are talking about. Sometimes now even there is brain drainage where those that are so much excelled are running there. Yet they have the potential. So a secretariat, a functioning secretariat, money is something. Now, the uniqueness about NAM that I love with it, it's not like, not that I'm against these organizations, like the UN, where some are not equal, then you have this. Every country is equal. Every country's vote counts similar.
Right.
You know, so you don't have this struggle for power, you know, to be on some more decision-making committee. That is very positive. But at the end of it, if we still remain with the fact that there isn't finances to run the affairs
of the
of NAM,
movement,
then it may make it a bit hard.
So you do agree with the notion that money actually is very important, whether we like to have the discussion or not.
It should be one of the reforms
that we see. Well, I'm hoping that the next chairperson gets to table this and maybe at least start or even put it in place so that we see changes happening over the years. Still talking about, I'm trying to compare the African Union and the non-aligned movement, and we've established that there is a secretariat at the African Union, but we don't have a secretariat as NAM. And of course, I think the African Union, I don't know which of the two, holds as of now, holds more power than the other, because at some point their mandates seem to be the same. Maybe where the difference is, the non-aligned movement encompasses everyone different from the African Union, because it's for Africans. And you would say, because we also do have some countries that are doing pretty well for themselves, unlike the fact that NAM is full of developing countries. What other difference do we see, or what do we see, or what can we take even from the African Union that we can employ in the non-aligned movement that would help us take the Nanaland movement to another level?
Well, for example, if you talk about the African Union, it is, one would say, more structured, but also its approach to some of these decisions. You see now there is respect for countries' independence, sovereignty. Then NAM is more of the member states, you know, willingness.
Right.
Now, African Union has gone as far as having an army. That it can wake up and say, no, we can't continue seeing death of our brothers in South Sudan.
Right.
We are going to deploy there. It doesn't end on saying we have made a declaration.
Well, according to the mandate of the Nanaland movement, you know, we cannot actually interfere in the affairs of these countries, but we can make a stand. As
Yes.
NAM, we can make a stand. And I'm thinking to myself, that's the same thing that African Union was doing, because at some point someone said the African Union should have been in position to even put up an army that in case there is a coup in one of the African countries,
Yes.
then the army comes out to, you know, to safeguard the countrymen and put everything back in order. And that is what we are.
It goes for peacekeeping missions. Of course, with peacekeeping missions. So none allied in this day and era. Dialogue is very important.
On that, I hold that thought, Robert, and I would like to let our viewers know that the pictures you are seeing on your screen are pictures from Entebbe International Airport. Like earlier on mentioned, we do have our teams in Entebbe, we have our teams in Munyonyo, and well, we are expecting more delegates to be coming in because we are closing into the climax of the Nanaland Movement Summit that will also transition us into the G77 Summit. So we're making sure that you have every detail as it comes in, and we're going to keep you updated with what is happening in Munyonyo, what is happening at Entebbe. So please do make sure that you stick around and stay with us.
And maybe just to let our viewers know, away from NAM, we are also having, and we expect, if all goes well, to give you a feed, the IGAD.
Yes.
The 42nd extraordinary meeting of heads of states under IGAD will be happening also in Uganda today. And that is at State House. So we may also give you that feed later on to know what is transpiring there. So we are having guests that may be coming in the country, heads of states for that particular meeting. Remember, this is a body of about 8 countries.
8 countries, yes.
That include Djibouti, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Uganda. Eritrea is currently inactive, and its headquarters are based in Djibouti. So you get the headquarters are based in Djibouti, where NAM. So it is IGAD, and when you look at strength of IGAD, well, you find that when it comes to issues of the Greater Horn of Africa, its position, its strength.
Well, this is convenient, especially because we were already expecting some of these countries to be in Uganda for the NAM summit, and conveniently, it was, I think, wise to have the emergency meeting also put in place. It's going to be taking place at State House in Entebbe. Please do note, it is not part of the NAM summit. It's an emergency meeting different from the NAM summit. It just happens that conveniently the countries were going to be here, and well, what a way to strike 2 birds with 1 stone, right?
Very interesting this time around.
Yes, as you can see.
And where this places Uganda when it comes to the diplomatic corps. You know, we've just had the meeting of speakers and officials from the Commonwealth. It was Speak Resort, Munyonyo.
Yes.
Then from that we dive into the Nana-Allied movement. Then we have IGAD coming in along.
Yes.
Then after we shall go to G77 and China Plus. What a way to press our country regarding the diplomatic corps on that level. One, it's a clear stance that Uganda is a peaceful country.
Right.
It is a sign of confidence in the leadership of our country.
Of our country, yes.
And on the other side, it also comes with economic benefits. They may not be direct for everybody, but long term, in terms of money coming into this country, because much as some of these, like the NAM, one would say it is government investing But also don't forget, these women want to carry souvenirs. These people, we had the women in agro-business, you know?
Yes, they held a summit, yes.
They held a summit. We had the East African Investment Forum and Trade Exhibition.
Yes.
Deals were closed. Deals were either directly or indirectly. We had government come up and show bankable projects in Uganda to these investors that you can invest in minerals. This is what we have as a country. Show them the benefits, tax incentives. We had the most session that I enjoyed about yesterday at Kampala Serena was successful businessmen in Uganda telling their stories.
Their stories, yes.
How they have made it, the likes of Crown Beverages. What they have invested, how they have made it. I also enjoyed foreign investors who came into Uganda speaking and telling other investors that this is how I came in Uganda, this is what I came with, this is what I was given by government. Then later in the evening session, where I had financial institutions, like South Africa Afro Bank, we had Stanbic, all these banks saying, this is what we can offer for you.
Right.
Why not come and invest in Uganda?
In Uganda. And Uganda is still prime when it comes to investment. I believe we have not exhausted, we haven't even got to 50% when it comes to what Uganda has to offer in terms of where to invest, how to invest, and it's good for us to put ourselves out there through hosting such summits. And this is the part where we get to, again, have the discussion on what is there for a Ugandan who may not even understand what NAM is about. Some of the Ugandans, all they have seen is roads being, you know, being refurbished, security, you know, traffic police everywhere. They know that there is a summit happening. They know there is heads of state coming, but they do not understand the magnitude of this event and what it carries politically, socially, and economically. Maybe that's a discussion we could also have again and talk about how Ugandans are yet to gain from the summit.
Well, first, there are long-term and short-term gains, or direct and indirect. We'll begin as Ugandans. Now, directly, the conventional center built at Speak Resort Munyonyo. Government has shares, government of Uganda has shares.
Right.
But also, the materials used, government has no manufacturing industry of these materials.
Yes, that means
these
Ugandans
were bought from Ugandans.
Right.
Either those that imported them, the casual laborers, the experts there, all these majority were Ugandans. So for them, they directly got jobs. Infrastructure, these roads you're seeing, we've had casual laborers who are hired. I saw men paint day and night. KCCA made more recruitments, either enforcement, technical teams, because of NAM that is coming. The infrastructure, look at some of the roads that are worked upon, that maybe people will call NAM roads. These also benefit. But now moving to the country, global positioning. Let me tell you, we've seen countries invest billions of money to market them, for these countries to get known. One of our countries advertises with a very strong team in the Premier League. What is this all about? Marketing, selling that country. So when you have 120 countries in Uganda, their presidents, those that have confirmed and will be here, their ministers, you're marketing your country. These senior officials, you're marketing your country, selling Uganda. They'll talk about the weather, they'll talk about the climate, then confirmation. You see, international media, we've had a little bit of, I would call it bad blood there and there, but when you hold such conference in such a summit, it shows that Uganda is peaceful, there's confidence in the leadership, and finally, when you look at this business side that happened at Serena, Chigo, Serena Kampala, the Women Agro-Business, and the East African Investment Forum and Trade Exhibition, these are going to create jobs. They are going to bring investors. Moreover, Public-Private Sector Foundation has a target of $1 million US.
on that. Yes. Thank you so much, Robert. Well, we can't go further than this. Thank you for staying with us. At this moment, we will be taking a very short break. When we come back, we are going to be having the Director Communications and Public Affairs of the Parliament of Uganda, that is Chris Obore. So please do stick around. We'll be getting more information, of course, from the horse's mouth. So please don't go away.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The energy of this land was born in the hearts of these men, of these women. It comes to life in the power of these colors and the memory of these scents. The energy of this land comes from here. It comes from Africa, and it vibrates in each of us.
Powered by Africa.
Oryx Gas, powered by Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Watching the special broadcast of the non-aligned movement taking place in Uganda. Do note it is the 19th. And well, just as we are still discussing the non-aligned movement and giving you all the updates, do remember that we noted earlier the death of a member of parliament that is now the late Cecilia Ogwar. And as promised, we do have Mr. Obore Chris, and we're going to be talking about what parliament has to say and any preparations that have been made so far. And as we try to fetch information and of course also make sure that as the events are taking place, we keep you informed on any arrangements. That is what we do as the national broadcaster. Mr. Obore, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, it's so sad to hear the news, and of course for Parliament, I believe this is a great loss. We would like to know what Parliament has in place as of now, and any information that we would that the public should be knowing.
It is too early to say what Parliament can have now.
Okay.
Because the news has just broken to us. Everyone is in shock.
Right.
So we are trying to come to terms with the news first. And definitely, whatever follows next will be done together with the family.
Okay.
The speaker will...
Chris, that having been said...
Maybe who was Cecilia Ogwar among the many members of parliament that we had? How best can you describe her?
To describe her, we require even 1 week to talk about her. The most important thing now is that we have lost a woman political icon, post-independence. You can't talk about Uganda's politics post-independence without the name Cecilia Ogwar.
Right.
So she put her name in history. And she has died a politician and a gender activist.
Right. On a personal level, what are some of the things you would highlight about the late now?
I'm telling you, there's a lot I can personally. She was like a mother to me. I'm personally known to her. Right from my secondary school days. Then I got to know her. And I worked with her. So there's a lot I can talk about her. The only thing I can tell you, You can't talk about Uganda post-independence without the name Cecilia Atim Ogwal. That is how influential she became in this country. Is this one politician? You know, most people know her as the firebrand UPC. And later on, of course, became FDC there, but along the way she grew to be an arbitrator in Ugandan politics.
Right.
That's what I know about her. She was always somebody who needed to find a middle line. What's good for the country. She mentored so many women personally in parliament. Young women MPs can testify to her role in their politics. And she called a spade when needed to be, when it needed to be called so. She called for harmonization meetings if things were getting out of hand. Because basically, she has gone at a time when I think Parliament needs her more, because there are many more young members of Parliament. That's how sad it can be. Her experience is gone with her when I think it's needed most. That's the sad part of it. But like I told you, there's a lot that can be talked about. Honorable Cecilia Timogwa. And we'll keep talking about it until we bury her, even after burying her. Because she impacted a lot on
Now,
how politics be done.
Chris, you've given us that general picture, but in parliamentary responsibility, apart from being the Dokolo woman member of parliament, what other responsibilities did she hold?
I've told you, she was a businesswoman in her own right. She was a mother. She has grown-up children. She has grown-up children. She has lawyers as her children. But you can see the discipline she had. Some of you may not know that she had children who are mature, who are lawyers. But the humility they have is that nobody thinks she even had children. They left her to play the politics. That is, she's a strong family woman. So I really wonder what's going to happen to today. That was part of him. That's what I know about her.
Are you in position to give us a little bit of a parliamentary journey since she joined? When did she join parliament and all that? Briefly.
She joined parliament long in the 70s. That is how far she became a politician in the 70s. I think after graduating in Nairobi. Long. Her history needs sitting down and writing a booklet about it.
Right. Mr. Bore, my other question would be, what would be some of the, just highlight maybe like 3 or 4 things that would be your take-homes or things that you're holding on to, that you will hold on to, especially now that she's gone, things that you've picked from her?
Speaking the truth and fighting for women. That was her.
Right. Speaking
and she always preached good governance. She was becoming an expert in good governance principles.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Obore. I don't know if you have maybe anything more to share with us, but if there may not be, then I'm afraid we would have to let you go, unless if Robert, you have another question.
Well, not so much. Like you said, it's still so early because I've also just received the news, and of course you can hear the mood of a person that he has known for quite a long time. And of course, when you look at the life of Cecilia, Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, it is shock. And I must say, a blow to the politics of this country.
Right. Well, Mr. Bore, thank you so much for sparing some time to speak to us. And we are looking forward to any developments that will be coming up, especially on the arrangements, being that it's still a bit early to determine what happens after now. Thank you so much, Mr. Bore.
You're welcome.
Well, that was Mr. Bore on the line, and we are still here. It's a bit cold. I don't know where you are, but it's a bit cold in here, but also hot in Munyonyo, so we are trying to see how to balance the temperature. But again, to the family of now the late Cecilia Ogwal, we send you condolences, and we pray that God strengthens you during such a time. What were your take-homes from, just briefly, what he said about the late now?
Well, post-independence, after independence, a great leader that she has been. She has been on the political scene of this country till death.
Her last breath.
The uniqueness, we don't have so many politicians, and this is not to offend anybody, who have stuck to opposition in their lifetime. Not so many. Not so many that have lived and have passed on.
Well, according to Chris Obore, he says she's been a person of truth.
She was in UPC. She came to FDC.
After handing over, at some point, handing over to the son.
And I want to tell you, I remember one time, I don't remember the function, when President Museveni was speaking and said, if really this government had issues of killing, then this would have been the person. Because during her political time, she would, first she had humor at one point, but she was so determined to push what she believed in at all costs. Not so many ladies have that zeal. And to the opposition, I must re-emphasize, they've lost someone who would act as a mediator.
And this is a big blow. It's a very, very, in my own opinion, it's a very big blow to the FDC because if you have such an icon on your team, then you are guaranteed that some of the things are going to be in check. We're talking about someone who has about 54 years of experience in politics. That means she has been here for the fairest share of all the transitions we have seen in our political arena.
And she has maintained her legacy clean. That she has been known for that, and she's that, amidst these continuous changes that we've had. That's why I've said there are not very many. I think one that we can recall was, once is it UDP Secretary General Nsubuga, the other name is running away from me, that his entire life he was known for that and retained that this is what I stand for. Even when she moved from UPC, you say she comes to FDC. But also the element, Cecilia Ogwal, fronted God so much. Remember the various, when even you're hosting her, she had that God-fearing element coming out of her so many a times when speaking to her. So I want to say we have lost. At a time when we have so many youth embracing politics, and many of them, it is not politics of logic. It is not politics of negotiation. Here is a person who many of them respected. And if she would speak, they'd respect her because she had seen it all. All that a rent should, and they knew that if she says that is dangerous, politically, that is political suicide. Indeed, it is political suicide. So at such a time where there is so much need for mentorship of our young politicians. Some are very excited, some are very ambitious.
Maybe not very, but too ambitious.
Too ambitious. Some are so much foreign influenced. Now when you have such an icon, she has been able to blend. And if you looked at some of it, like I said, my last encounter at Cecilia Ogwa was the recent FDC fractions where you have now the Katonga and the Najana Nkumbi. So I had an interview with her and she would tell you, no. These are things, these people can sort them out, if they come together, let's push for dialogue. You see, this will not end them anywhere. And she would give you incidents if you wanted history. So such a brain at such a time.
It was really necessary. Just briefly about a bit of her personal life. As Chris Obore mentioned, she had children, and children that are well educated, and we've not seen her stumble politically. Yet we know politics is very demanding, and especially for a woman, politics is very demanding. Family can be demanding. All I can imagine is how she managed to strike a balance between her work and family, and keeping her family out of the politics and out of, we've seen people fail to balance this kind of equation. For some reason, family is going to be involved. For some reason, there's going to be a drama or even a saga out there. And I would say, I think this is the part where women say, I think if it were you saying, you'd say our wives need to emulate the late and see how to balance things.
And what another uniqueness about her is that much as she has been an iron lady, she was a married woman.
Right.
I want to tell you the first time I saw a clip on social media of the late with the husband, I was shocked.
So you were among the non-believers.
I was like, this iron lady, I will date her to Honorable Matembe. You know, because I don't know, for some reason, we have a number of our iron ladies that are not in marriages.
Yes.
But when you look at the likes of Matembe, the late Cecilia, having children, raising them, have very many strong female politicians that have had children. They have raised them as single mothers, and the children are very prominent and successful. But that issue of balancing family, marriage, a married woman till her demise and yet powerful on the political arena is something that, yes, young ladies in politics should indeed emulate.
Right, and I would also say it's not easy to strike a balance. We all know, and lately even life gets more demanding. And at the end of the day, someone will tell you, "I am failing to strike the balance between work and work and life."
And she kept her family out of the media.
Yes, and that is why I say. Such things are things that we need to borrow, especially as ladies. And as politicians, if whether you're a man or a woman, keep your family out of this. Well, I do have, of course, information that is coming in about what people are starting to say about the late. And I'm seeing the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, that is the Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa, saying, "You have left us during a time when we needed you the most. This loss is deeply felt, not only by Uganda, but by the entire world, especially the parliamentary fraternity. Your death is truly heartbreaking. You were instrumental in guiding and shaping local politics." Well, it's at this point that you get to realize that people did appreciate what some say she brought to the table. As an icon, as a politician, as a woman, and I believe as he has said, we have really lost an icon. Then General Edward Katumba Wamala says, "We have just received the sad news of the demise of Honorable Cecilia Ogwar, a lady who loved her country with passion, a nationalist who looked beyond party colors when addressing national issues, whether locally or while in international fora. We have lost a political icon." Well, these are messages that are coming in, talking about the late now Cecilia Ogwar, and this is just to continue. This is I think this was part of. This was part of, I think, what Thomas Tayebwa said. Says, "You were instrumental in guiding and shaping local leaders, as well as advocating for a just global agenda, where the voice of the global South was heard, especially in the Joint Parliamentary Assembly. Your remarkable contributions will forever be etched in the annals of history." When at Anita Among tagged, at Anita Among, that is the Speaker of Parliament, "and I received the news of your terminal illness last week. We hoped that you would have a few more months to bid us a quiet farewell. It saddens us that we did not have the chance to physically say goodbye. You tirelessly worked to earn your place and at the right hand of our Father's throne. We now implore you to pray for us and intercede on our behalf. Your presence will be sorely missed, but your spirit will live on in our hearts." That is a continuation of the message that has been penned down on the X app by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa. You can tell that this has not left the parliament in one piece.
And I'm very sure all parliamentarians will feel this. You know, I'll stick on experience.
Right.
I'll stick on respect. When you watch, usually UBC, when you watch Parliament in session, there are many members of Parliament, but there are a few members of Parliament that will stand on an issue, and if you read the environment around, everyone is set to listen. Even the speaker, even the deputy, much as others have that limited time, you will see the attention given. Even the media, first I've covered Parliament at one point, there is someone who stand up and you're like, hey, so-and-so is going to speaking.
And immediately
you want to capture
listen.
What is coming out of that person. Very objective, very mature, very nationalistic, putting colors aside or political parties aside for national interest. That is the Cecilia Ogwal in that parliament.
And I think for the deputy speaker, it's been a bit personal, as you can see. They related very well, you know, and it's usually something good to relate with someone, one who has more experience than you do. But most importantly, what I've noted is her objectivity. You know, when the speaker tells you, the deputy speaker tells you, she put aside the colors.
Yes.
The political colors, whether you are yellow, red, blue, orange, whichever color you belong. She put that aside and she was objective. And that is a big lesson that our politicians need to learn at a particular point. Yes, you need to belong somewhere, but at some point, you're doing this for the Ugandans. And I believe that is something that she fought for. Just like the General Katumba has said, she was a nationalist. She was a nationalist. Well, as you can see, those are some of the pictures that have been, you know, that were posted by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa, you know, putting down his emotions and telling us briefly about how he has been saddened by the loss of now the late Cecilia Ogwal. And to Parliament, I believe this is a very big blow again, and we are hoping that we now raise more Cecilia Ogwals in there. We are hoping that the lessons she has left, her impact lives on even way longer than her, and we get to see changes in Parliament and in people when it comes to the footprint she has left. And of course, we do have more comments coming in. And Audrek Rawogo says, I woke up this morning to the sad news of the death of a dear friend, a woman of firm stances in issues of human rights and democracy, and a great conversationalist, Mama Cecilia Ogwal. I first saw Cecilia in 1991 at a student rally at Makerere University, at which she went neck to neck against then, that is Kano Kahinda Otafire, on the opening of political space for multi-party politics. Firm in her convictions, brave yet humble, she carried the mantle of UPC when no one would speak for that organization in the early 1990s and throughout the Constituent Assembly celebrations. She later in life would become my friend, calling me her son. Without Cecilia, few of the current crop of firm leaders in our politics would have a point of reference. She earned respect with her skillful and mature approach to politics for being a non-nonsense leader. I am glad in February 2023, the President, through our efforts to remember our aging leaders, bestowed on her the Uganda Leadership Award. May the Lord keep the soul of this fighter for Uganda in peace. That is from Audrek Rawogo. As you can see, ideally someone would wake up and say...
Chairperson Presidential Committee.
Yes. Someone would wake up and say, she was FDC, but the first people to actually say something about it are people that do not belong to the party. So far what I have seen. And then those that belong to other political parties have all these good things to say about her. How would it be if a political space, one morning we woke up and we woke up one morning and we had you know, a space like that, and of course, as you can see on your
and scandal clean. Don't forget that.
Well, we can try and make it scandal clean. On the screen, as you can see, we do have a tweet that is coming in from Ruben P. Machivirango, who is the producer of GMU here on UBC Television. Rest in peace, Honorable Cecilia. Ugandan politics will never be the same again without your participation. And I believe this is like the best way to summarize what everyone else is saying, because everyone points out her role in the politics of this country, her objectivity and her fight to make sure that what is right is what is being fronted, irrespective of what politics to some people
I think for me
means.
what stands out most when you talk her Honorable Cecilia Ogwal is her objectivity in discussing, in handling issues.
Right.
Because most of the times we don't have very many politicians in this country. Many will front their colors and will lose objectivity. Many will front the desires of the voters. And one would tell you, yes, that is right, but my voters.
Right.
Cecilia Ogwal was in and out of parliament. But one thing, she would front objectivity, she would flaunt country above self,
right,
and very nationalistic. Now, the biggest lesson for our leaders today, both in NRM and in opposition, the greatest gift we can give the late Cecilia Ogwal, now former Dokoro woman member of parliament, is putting nation above self, above political colors and inclination.
Right. Well, I'm really looking forward to a place when we get to a place like that. I have some more comments, and people are really taking it to the X app or on social media to make sure that they put, you know, they send out the condolence messages and maybe the last messages. Especially, we've really been putting our focus on the non-aligned movement summit, and people didn't really get time to even know that she was unwell, or even go to check on her, like the deputy Speaker of Parliament said. Frank Ket Mwebaze says, really sad to receive the news of the passing of Honorable Mama Cecilia Ogwal, our colleague and arguably the most senior legislator in our Parliament. Despite being in opposition, her positions were always anchored on logic and reason, and not extremism. When I was first appointed as minister in 2012, she told me, my son, as your mother in this house, I will be rebuking you in this house if you shame me and do stupid mistakes. And truly, every time she criticized, rebuked me on issues of work for the sectors I led, I would listen, and I know it's out of love and goodwill. True parent she was to many of us. I pray for her family in this trying moment. Condolences to her family. Right Honorable tags at Right Honorable Anita Mong, Thomas Tayebwa, Parliament, and the family and the people of Dokolo. May her soul rest in peace. That is Frank Ket Mwebaze, and that is the message he has put. He has put down for Parliament, the family of the late now. And you realize that by the look of things, different parliamentarians, different ministers have a print of her.
But away from the print, also, when you listen, when you read all their messages, there is something unique that they bring out. I don't want to discuss the previous dead. That Parliament has lost, and we've known who they have been in that house.
Right.
They all bring out the issue of objectivity. They all bring out the issue of being nationalistic. They all bring out the issue of standing firm on what she believed in.
Right.
They all bring out that she was a mother to every man that came before her. She would call you son. She would call you son.
Well, she earned it.
Yes. Yes, my son, what are you doing? You want to bring me that alley? No, but Mom, you see, this is the time we have. Yeah, okay, I'll come. And she would come. And when you have a very full of humor, but you would know that this is what she stands for.
Right.
One said, no nonsense, because you'd also shape your questions, not to ask just
things that don't make sense.
That's really, you know. And she told you, but that is not my responsibility. She had that. And if she was speaking, I know I'm not the one to speak for, but my view on that.
Right.
So that uniqueness of, we are losing nationalistic characters. That is my pain, and it's bad that she has died. We are losing her we have lost her at such a time. We have a very young, vibrant parliament.
That needed
guidance.
Yes.
We have a parliament we have young, full of shoppy media parliamentarians.
No, not all of them.
Not all of them, but I'm saying there is that crop.
But I do agree
someone
with you.
who cannot come out, she was true to herself. Someone who not speak something on the plenary,
and
then wait for the stairs of parliament, knowing it doesn't matter.
I'm looking
then
forward.
Someone rush to radio stations and TV.
I'm looking forward to what the president will have to say, especially when it comes to an icon like her. As you can see on your screen, that is a picture of the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, with now the late Cecilia Ogwar. And, much as we've seen these heartwarming messages about her so far, I'm really looking forward to seeing his message or even hearing his delivery on this big loss. And I do know that President Museveni is someone that listens. And I do know that at some point he has, of course, listened or heard what she's had to say. And for someone who has been in Parliament for all these years, someone who has been such an icon, even after, you're looking at after independence, 1970 to 2024, you'd think and say he definitely has a very heartwarming message, a very great message that is going to be put out there when it comes to the let. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I want to believe in my thoughts and what I've been observing that these two have been great friends. Why? I've seen Cecilia Ogwar on various occasions, given time to speak, crack a number of jokes. I've seen His Excellency use her as an example. Even on moments you would think that, Cecilia, like the example, I don't remember which function it was. But during this time when we had all talks of human rights, safe houses, remember that, where there was that tension. It was, I think, slightly after COVID. And the president was somewhere when he said NRM does not kill people. If NRM was killing people, then mentioned that name, that the late could be one of the people who would have killed. That you don't say on a person who is not your friend.
Right.
That you don't say on an immature politician.
Right.
Because the following day he will be everywhere in news, radio, TV, press conferences talking about it. So they were friends. I've seen Cecilia Ogwar, with respect, actually addressing the president, either Mr. Museveni or President Museveni.
Right.
But in also a jokeful manner. When you look at that picture on our screen, that too. So the rich history of Uganda at one point brought these two together. The rich political history of Uganda.
Uganda, yes.
Though at one point it may have brought them like poles, not repel each other. But along that journey, it must. Yes, Cecilia has totally been in opposition. We have politicians who are in opposition, and now they're in NRM and doing well. The speaker, the deputy speaker, or FDC, And to mention many ministers and all that, she has stuck her ground, she has been there, but very objective, very respectful. You'd not hear her utter funny language, bad language. And why I said with a clean sheet, not so many people have attained her level and have missed being in scandal after scandal. We have scandal-full politicians in this country. Ceci has not been a scandal-full politician. Right. Name you will mention in this politics, and they have dominated scandal by scandal, scandal by scandal. That clean sheet. A down-to-earth lady. That's why I told you that the first time I watched a clip and I found out that this is a married woman, I was shocked. But that humbleness, you've been in key positions since 1970 till today, and you're that humble. Indeed, we have lost a great daughter of the African soil.
Well, from 1946 to 2024, at 77 years, we have lost the Member of Parliament for Dokolo, and that is now the late Cecilia Ogwal. And we are, having a discussion, especially politically, her impact on every individual, irrespective of the political party you subscribe to. And I wish at some point, after years, we would have a number of Cecilias that have had great impact on Ugandans, on the parliament. We all do know that that is where all the, all the work happens almost. And that means it would be good for our growth and development.
And we've talked about her on the political realm, but also the women movement in this country has lost greatly.
Yes, Chris Obore says she was a woman activist.
Oh, very passionate. She would follow up cases. My friend, cases of you bring an incident, this woman was raped, there is oppression here. That would be the food for Cecilia Ogwal. She would be everywhere to push, to cause public attention and concern. Right. So the women movement in this country, and yet a role model. Because yes, she was successful politically, she was successful also in the family. A role model because you have many in the women movement that when it comes to family, they'll be the ones kick him if he kicks you, box him if he boxes you. If he can't move out of that, that wasn't. God-fearing, indeed we've lost for the women movement as well.
Right, and well, I'm hoping that we get. I'm hoping that we get someone that is going to be doing, pushing the agenda, the way she has been doing it. The picture you see on your screen, the picture you see on your screen, the second lady from the left is Cecilia Ogwal. And when I was trying to briefly read about her, she was also Miss Uganda.
At the age of 23.
Yes, at the age of 23. And I think I don't know at what point parents get to sabotage their children. But I think if you see your child taking a certain direction, it's good to be supportive. I'm only imagining what would have happened if she didn't have maybe supportive parents.
And that
or
was in
guardians.
1969.
When she,
as early as that.
That is about 1964.
Some would say, yes, 1964.
And those years, how often or how many parents would actually allow their children, to take such positions? I mean, Miss Uganda, there is a bad picture that is out there. Not entirely bad picture, but to some parents, if you told them you want to run for Miss Uganda, I think the first thing that comes to their mind is why are you being unserious with your life? But she's a live example of, yes, she was Miss Uganda, but look at how she has lived her life. A clean life, literally. And I think this goes to parents that usually sabotage their children. So if your little girl tells you she wants to be Miss Uganda, encourage her and support her.
Well, there is also a big challenge that some of the things, the way they were done by then, the intentions, and today they have been very diluted. So by then you may have found it didn't have the same challenges it's having today.
Well, it could be a bit
But of
individualistic
course,
at some
it was also, great people do not become great in the later stages of their days.
It starts from somewhere.
When you look today, we are talking about the non-aligned movement. When you read about people like Kwame Nkrumah, they never started in their old ages. Well, when you come to even our very president, when you see where he began his political journey, saying, "Me, I'm going to do this." So great people usually don't. The greatness in them comes very early and in very trying moments, by the way.
Right. And you talked about you talked about having some of these things being diluted. But if we have figures like now the late Cecilia Ogwal, as you can see on the picture displayed on the screen, she was also supportive. She ran for Miss Uganda. It was actually 1969, not 64. 1969. Sorry about that. She ran for Miss Uganda. She was Miss Uganda, and now after all these years, she is still supporting them. How good would it be if we saw different people that have branded themselves like she did, still supporting and guiding, guiding some of these beauty pageants? That picture was taken in 2016. You get? After all these years.
One of the things we are lacking, first, when you lose such great people, we don't have documented literature. They have not written books, some of them. Like our brothers in the European world, that for anything someone has written a book about their lives, we need to develop that culture. That the biography, even some may not be biography, but maybe books on certain very important issues that they have had victory in their life. Then second, we also lack mentorship programs.
Right.
That someone can be just invited as a chief guest, but has not been in the initial participation of that.
And all they're going to do is deliver a speech.
And go, most when it comes to issues of talent. So we still have that problem. Today we'll be bringing out various books. She wrote on political governance, she wrote on, this, that. Today we'll be looking at maybe academies, academies, institutions, women in leadership institution founded by, so that there's that continuity. There's that continuity. School of this. Right. There's that continuity. But we are still lacking it, that Chantel, after 40 years in media, a candidate, no book. So as a lady in the media, challenges, opportunities, that maybe you can, maybe there is no mentorship that has come. Yes, we are commending her, which is that the moment she interfaced with people, the likes of Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, Minister of Agriculture, has said, she told me that when you do this,
when you slacken on your
I'll do
mandate
this.
As
Honorable Thomas Tayewa, Deputy Speaker, I'll tell you that whenever I was here, she said this, but that direct connection, intended, intentional, and well structured, is still something that we are lacking.
Well, and that would be it to discuss when it comes to the late Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, and also we cannot exhaust it. That is the other part. And well, we're going to be ending it right here. Any developments that will be coming up, especially from Parliament and the family of the late, will make sure that the public is well aware of any arrangements. And for those that were closest to her, for those that have been especially directly affected by this loss. As Uganda, we are hurt and affected. It's a great loss. But to the family and friends and those she impacted closely, may God give you peace with the situation, and we continue to pray for her soul to rest in peace. Well, Robert, thank you so much for having this discussion.
The best gift we can give her The best gift, those in power, those in parliament, is to put nation beyond our political affiliations, beyond self, because that is what Cecilia Ogwa stood for.
Right. Thank you so much. I would definitely not add anything onto that. That is very well closed. We are still broadcasting in a special way the Non-Aligned Movement Summit that is taking place in Uganda, Kampala, at the Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort, and also making sure that the different parts that have what you need to know we are in those places. We are at the airport, making sure that we know who is coming in and reporting to you, keeping you updated, but also giving you information of what is taking place at Munyonyo, what has been done so far, what do we expect to be done. We are going to be getting into a very short break. Sonko will be returning to have more discussions on the Non-Aligned Movement, so stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Did you know that our #1 value as a nation is to respect and protect the environment? With the current population increase of Uganda and industrialization, this has increased